Stugotz here. Whether you're into podcasts about ghastly crimes or hip-hop rhymes, there's always something new to discover on Spotify. With a mix of originals and many of the world's most popular shows, listening to podcasts on Spotify is easy. Just open the app, tap Browse, and dive into their growing library. Subscribe to your favorites, including our entire archive, so you'll never miss a show. You can also download podcasts for those moments when you're up in the air or going underground. Podcasts on Spotify are streaming right now. Go check them out today.
With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of getting 2 W's on the road or catching the home run ball without spilling your drink. Double boom. Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
Football is very unpredictable, but that Dolphin loss that way at Buffalo is about as predictable as that sport gets.
Yep.
And about as predictable gets. And so what I want to ask you, because I am so tired of the Dolphins and so tired of talking about the Dolphins on this show, can we put to rest, can we bury, for not just this season, but forever, in the mix talk?
No.
But now, last week you were, like I've been telling you at every point during the season, as soon as it started,
right,
this is not in the mix team. This team's not good enough to be in the mix with its backup quarterback.
An 8-8 team might get into the...
So I got to wait another week before I can eradicate in the mix talk from you?
They have another game with the Bills, correct? They beat the Titans head-to-head. I mean, there is a shot. They are in the mix. I want
to evolve and grow as a show. I don't want to be doing the same show all our lives.
All right.
And I need to eradicate. I need to have a victory on something, because I will not spend 15 more years talking in the mix Dolphins talk.
I'd love to help you out, but I just Googled the NFL playoff picture, and the Dolphins are still in the mix.
All right, well, let me explain something.
So we're going to have to
firmly entrenched in the mix, by the way.
We're going to have to wait a week before we do the show you want to do, which was Dan Was Right.
All right, no, but here's the thing, okay? As my every waking step takes me inevitably, as it takes us all, a little bit closer to wherever our death is. At the end of that, I don't want to be revisiting with my loved ones as they're gathered around my bed and I'm saying my goodbyes and they've got life to live and I'm expiring. I didn't do enough in the mix talk. Like, I don't want to spend those moments saying I did too much, with the regret of I did too much Dolphins in the mix talk with my life.
I don't doubt that as you're on your deathbed, the Dolphins will actually still be in the mix at that time, and the Florida Panthers will be 5 points out of the last playoff.
And it's the final thing I'll whisper to you.
You're going to let me go with that? It won't be I love you. It won't be I love you. It'll be the Dolphins then are in the mix. Yep. And I'm like, Stugotz, they're not. They're point differential. Yeah.
It's an argument I'll finally win.
Yeah.
You won't win it. I'll just be too tired to keep having it.
And Tom Brady just won his 46th MVP.
Oh, my God. I was laughing with Boog about this the other day because we were just talking about Stugotz and the idea that Stugotz at 70, is he going to still be able to pull off the mischievous, evil 10-year-old? Because he's pulled it off to 44, and it doesn't really make any sense, right? Because Stugotz is beloved even though he's befouled. Like, it doesn't even make sense the way that people love Stugotz. But part of it is because they just know he's a mischievous, largely harmless, until there's a Ponzi scheme or you lose your money, largely harmless, evil 10-year-old. And so what I realized, and I had never realized this, and my guess is I am the last to notice it, because you guys who like this show have probably known this long before now. I realized while laughing with Boog that I'm the coyote. And I always thought I was the road runner. I always thought I'm the champion of this. Nah, it's Stugotz. It's Stugotz bouncing off the walls. I'm chasing him. I never actually catch him. The audience laughs. But I thought I was the road. You understand? My view of this was all wrong.
Of course, yes.
I always thought
pretty deep conversation with Boog. I mean,
but it wasn't deep. It was just laughing.
Cartoons.
It wasn't really deep at all, Stugotz, although that represents depth for you and Will also at 70 because, again, you're an evil, mischievous 10-year-old. That wasn't deep. We were literally talking about the Roadrunner and the Coyote. It's one of the least deep. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are the Roadrunner and the Coyote one of the least deep things America has ever done?
You got him again, Stugotz. He just ran into a wall you painted as a tunnel.
Yep. I am good at this.
Yeah, and that's what. But I keep forgetting, and I probably will till the end of time, which is why when I'm on my deathbed, I will still be like they're not in the mix, and he'll be at an ESPN microphone filming it for to milk the last bits of profit off of it,
live from your funeral.
and the last
because a piano fell on you,
and the last words will be right. The anvil fell on me. There will be an anvil indentation in the coffin. And Stugotz will just whisper, in the mix. The Dolphins are still, Dan, in the mix.
So many things I could whisper to you.
Right? I think we should send that out to the audience. In fact, let's go. You know what? Let's do this by phone. 786-456-4837. Here's what we're painting. I want you to whisper what Stugotz's final words will be to me before I perish. See, but here's the thing. I always thought that I would get the final word before he perished, but that clearly can't be what happens with the Roadrunner and the Coyote.
Right.
You have to get the final word.
The Coyote survives always, yes. Yep, I will get, listen, if you were to place an amount of money that meant something to you on who's going to leave this earth first, I think we'd bet me, right? But that's not how this thing's going to play out. I think you're right.
You're going to win at the end. Broadcasting live from my funeral, doing the eulogy, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. And my good friend Machado. Because he's still going to be doing whatever he's doing then, too. What are you laughing about, Guillermo? What are you laughing about?
Gus Machado?
Yeah, he's
afraid to go with the first name. He didn't want to get fined.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that I didn't want to go Gus Machado. It's that I didn't know which member of the Machado family that I was summoning. Is it still Gus Machado? Or who are your good friends? Where are your good friends Lenny and the other guys from?
That's Air Around the Clock. Yeah, Lenny and those guys.
Those are Joe Rose's friends.
Those are Joe Rose's best friends.
All right, help me out.
For years.
All right, who are your friends, your good friends by name on the air in the history of the show?
Oh, Floyd at Lauderdale BMW.
Now do it this way.
Kevin in Service.
No, but now do it this way. Do it that way. Your last words to me, okay? And they're being broadcast. They're being broadcast. So your last words to me have to be whatever the last words are. It could be, Dan, the Dolphins are in the mix. And then that's brought to you by Mike. You can even do the cha-ching if you want. And then you can just yeah.
Payday. It is payday.
Right, you ready? Let's conjure this image for the listener, and they're going to give us some suggestions.
Okay, that's
so good. I'm in hospice. And Stugotz is let's just be optimistic and say he's still the 70-year-old ESPN evil, mischievous 10-year-old. But I got to go. My time is done. I developed that heroin addiction I was promising you late in life because what's the difference? And I'm sedated. I'm numbed. I'm ready to go.
It's a great way to go out.
And Stugotz is whispering some final words in my ear before I go. He's the Roadrunner. I'm the Coyote. He wins. All right. And so you're going to do it by phone, and Stugotz is going to do it here, and then transition seamlessly with Mike, because Mike's going to be up there, too, with the cash register. And everybody is.
Wait, so is everyone getting the cash register sound? Is everyone getting that?
Yes, that's what we're going to do. These are the last words that Stugotz says to me, but they won't just be to me. They will be through the faux intimacy of our relationship, and then they will be broadcast for profit. So here I am. I'm ready. I'm looking at you, and I'm just staring at you for your final words.
Hey, Dan, when you get down there, make sure you say hi to Art Briles. Brought to you by my good friend Jeff Cook at Nature Bee. Had Dan taken more Nature Bee, perhaps he'd still be alive to do the show with me today. We're
back after this. All right. So let's go ahead and take some calls on this. The telephone number is 786-456-4837. This may prove to be a terrible idea by me.
Could be good. We don't know. Right.
Christian, you're on 790 The Ticket.
Man, that's a fine.
Brought to you by my good friend Daniel at East Coast Public Adjusters. 855-GET-ECPA.
Dan, that's a fine. Kian, you're on 790 The Ticket. Go ahead, Kian.
I mean, how about that?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, there's got to be a thought before it, right? You don't get a how about that unless you're ripping something. Durant took the shortcut. How about that?
Dan, you're about to die. How about that?
Right. That's the way that one would go. Dan, you're on 790 The Ticket.
Those are my lifetime
Pick one of these, by the way, because it's the one I'm going to use when it actually happens.
You're gonna? What do you mean? Hit one of what?
No. Pick one of these. Pick one of these because it's the one I'm going to actually use when I say my last words to you.
It was a boing that went off. Just
no, because Stugotz was pointing at the soundboard, or he was pointing at the calls. I thought he was pointing at the soundboard, and he's like, "Pick one of those." And I'm like, "Why? You want one for your eulogy?"
Yeah, it's a fine.
786-4. That's enough, right? We've done enough of this. We can talk about the Dolphins now, or do you
can
still
keep going until it's not funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still funny?
The last three have been funny.
Okay, 786-456-4837. Okay. Far be it for our show to just get out before we've beaten the dead horse. Right. Anybody get mad at Mike Tomlin yesterday? Just generally mad at Mike Tomlin for losing with that collection of players to Rex Burkhead? No?
I didn't get mad at Mike Tomlin. I found myself getting mad at the Patriots for always winning that game.
But
they were without Antonio Brown for most of the game.
And the Steelers won that game.
They did win it, yeah.
Right.
In my personal record.
There's that. There's that as well.
And Rex Burkhead got injured early on in that game.
No, yes, but that doesn't matter.
It's a fine.
That game was fun last night. That Steelers-Patriots game.
Heavyweight bout. That was great. It lived up.
Right. Yeah, it did.
Awesome. It made me feel football is back. And then what happened at the end of the game happened, and I hated football again.
But if you're the Steelers, though, no matter what your rooting interest, no matter how tired you are of the Patriots, if you're the Steelers, right, you have to be feeling to yourself, "Oh, we're not going to win against them."
If you don't win that game, it seems like.
But just in general, when they play each other, that Tom Brady hasn't thrown an interception against them in 300 pass attempts. And he goes right down the field, slices through you after you had the interception. You had the game won.
Yep.
The game was won.
It was over.
Just hold the ball.
Yeah.
Tom Brady threw you another interception. Hadn't thrown one in 300 passes, threw you another one. You drop it.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the position to come back because the thing I was mad at Tomlin about was the way he handled when they had the ball as like everyone's nuts shrivel against Belichick late. Like no matter how much you are soldier guy, get out of the stadium guy, don't blink guy, everybody, no matter, he's got Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and I know Antonio Brown wasn't in the game late, but he had wide receivers that were slicing them up, and Tomlin running scared and backpedaling with the lead from Belichick with the ball, goes shriveled.
Yeah.
Like, won't throw it downfield, and Belichick just eats that. Like, he can eat that when a coach goes shriveled on him.
That's the point. If you're going to ask me at any moment, was I disappointed with Tomlin, it was at that moment, that drive, where he actually
Belichick eats shriveled nuts. There, I said it.
It's been said. Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
Don Batard. Kenny, how you doing today? Kenny. Waiting for Ken, trying to hook him up here. Ken, you with us? We'll try again. You guys got him?
Stugotz.
We'll take a quick time out. You guys figure it out. Goodbye.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
So the telephone number is 786-456-4837. And you got a rash on the line. And what we're doing is I am in hospice, and not right now, in the theater of the mind. I am laying there, and I'm leaving, and I've thought all my life that I am the Roadrunner, but I am the Coyote, and I realize it in my bed as Stugotz gets the last word, broadcasting my death live for maximum profit. And he whispers one or a few words, one thought, as I descend into the ground. What is that whispered thought?
Such a funny, ridiculous topic.
And yes, funny and ridiculous. And yes, that's what we're going for around here. So let's go to a rash. A rash, you're on 790 the ticket.
Hey, Dan, you don't have to go to a girl's wedding, but you can still send a big fat check, like a 5-figure check, one for each girl. Okay, just a little less for Rachel, but still 5 figures.
Wow, rash, wordy.
Yes.
Very wordy.
And not whispering.
And not something about PJ Fleck.
Yeah. And he doesn't have you making my daughter's weddings. That's, I mean, they're going to be 14 in January.
Yeah. Okay. So it's soon. Mike, maybe they're married. Maybe you're just saying your daughter's going to marry old. Mike, you're on 790 the ticket.
Hey, Dan, I told you it should have been and not with. Can I have your hat collection so I can sell it on eBay?
The and not with was fine right there.
Well, I'm wondering what we should do there, Mike, because I've been asking Mike for years about this. There's always some sort of complication that makes an appearance that doesn't, like, I've wanted for years for it to be Dan and Stugotz. And, thankfully Disney just got around recently to, like, being okay with the idea that they're broadcasting on there. I'm guessing that Bob Iger doesn't know this. I'm guessing that
it hasn't gone up that high, Dan.
I'm guessing that Disney probably doesn't know what Stugotz mean, the word Stugotz means. But regardless of that, that has led to a lot of impediments that have made it difficult to make Stugotz into the Roadrunner. And so where are we now with this? Because I just asked Mike recently about this.
I need to know how serious Stugotz is about this, because if he's dead serious about it and it means a lot to him, we'll do it. Just know, from a production standpoint, this is a mountain of work that we have to do. This show has been the Dan Le Batard show with Stugotz since its inception.
There's always some sort of obstacle, though, but I've wanted to do that for years. I've tried that. Wait a minute. It sounds like I just put that on Mike. That's not on Mike. If I went with 100% force on, yes, it needs to be and Stugotz, yes, it would probably be and Stugotz, but it wouldn't have been when we started negotiating this stuff with ESPN. The deal would have collapsed on that.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't moving then.
We barely got with Stugotz.
Yeah, it was a victory of the highest order to get, the Stugotz.
And I appreciate you guys fighting for it. I do. I remember.
But this probably isn't a public conversation, but now we're here. Like, you need to be serious about, like, how much you really want this, no lies, because now would be the time to do it or at any point, but there's always an obstacle.
The man hours that'll go into completely revamping our imaging to it. It's not impossible. We'll get it done, but it is a huge road. And graphically speaking and sales-wise, there's a lot that goes into a name change.
I'm for Stugotz's own knowledge, because it's not something we've talked about in any length off of the air. I want the validation from you, Mike, that I've been after that one for a while for Stugotz.
You don't need Mike to validate it. If you tell me it's so, I trust you.
Okay.
If you tell me that you've been trying to get it for a while, I trust you. Mike doesn't have, I appreciate you going to Mike to validate it, but I believe you. I trust you with this stuff. I trust you with just about everything, man.
Stugotz means a lot to me, and it's one of those things we'll do if he's 100% serious about this. If it's really that important, then we'll go ahead and do what we can for our friend.
How many hours, Mike? Like, how many hours are it going to take you?
We have to scrap every single piece of imaging. Every single
one. That was part of the arguments that we got in with at the beginning. That was another one of the reasons that when we were starting nationally, we were like, we got to get the name on here. We can't scrap a library of 15 years of stuff. We can't burn it to the ground just to get balls on the air. The Italian word for balls on the air.
I mean,
that's not a hill worth dying on.
And when do I need to let you know by? Like, COB today? Like, when do you need to know this information? It is important to me, but a listener actually wrote me like a whole big thing about this. And he said, be careful what you wish for, because the with Stugotz allows you to just be Stugotz. The N Stugotz creates all sorts of expectations.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that.
Like, Dan has all the expectation of ratings and success, and I'm just off to the side because of that.
Well, no,
width,
you're allowed to bounce all over the place as a character that's a court jester. Yeah, the show gives you permission to pinball because you're tethered. Right, you're tethered to the journalism of me.
Part of the fear here is, too, that Stugotz is just going to leave after 6 months after we make it, and Stugotz.
That's always a possibility. You always have to guard against that one.
So I'm just going to have to redo it again.
Right.
Billy was
Those would be good final words for Stugotz to you, though, on the end of your relationship. Like, just redo the whole Thanks for all the work you did. Goodbye. And then, poof, it's ESPN Stugotz. It's Stugotz PN.
You know, you guys have thought this for, I think we're going on 14 years now, and yet I'm still sitting here every morning right next to Dan, showing up on time, sitting right here doing what I do. And you guys have thought this for 14 years.
But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This isn't a great suffering.
I am getting paid great.
Wait a minute. But nobody here.
Oh, you guys are acting like I'm leaving. I have some desire to leave.
No, wait a minute. I think what's fair to say, and I think if you looked in the mirror on this, you would agree with this.
Yeah.
What's fair to say is that nobody here has ever believed that you were actually really close to leaving. And everyone here knows that every day you're thinking about how you can get some bigger thing. So that is the roiling conundrum that is the Stugotz. Like, every single day you're thinking about what's the bigger thing I can parlay this into. None of us have ever thought you're going to leave our side. Nobody's ever thought that.
Well, that's because you don't think I'm capable of getting the bigger thing?
Oh,
Is that what's going on?
No.
You're very capable.
No, you're capable of doing. No, that's not a lack of confidence in you. That's a belief in what you think is happening around here. Oh, you know what it is? No, I'll tell you what it is. It's not that you're not capable of getting the bigger thing. It's that if you got the bigger thing, it's much harder to succeed as just you than this support system that we've had for 15 years.
I'd be scared.
But just like me, but that would be harder for me too. Like, that's not a lack of confidence on your part. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't just jump into some other thing.
That's why I take the entire support system with me.
Right. Well, that would be the last word. Like, Dan, I'm taking the shipping container.
They're coming with me, Dan. I'll pay them pennies on the dollar.
I'll take more of it for myself.
But all laughs aside, I need to know if you're serious about it, because it's not just the man hours that go into actually revamping the imaging. I have several hours of calls and fighting this on the corporate end.
He is serious about it. What it is, he's been serious about it for a long time. But every time his seriousness gets diluted because he has to give in to sort of the fights that we have to get. It's not so worth it to him that he's willing to burden us terribly, but it should matter to him. He deserves it. He's earned it. But there is something to be said for, this is our show, man. This is not my show. This is our show. But there is something to be said of the idea of Dan Le Batard and Stugotz makes it seem like you're this serious thing that must be taken seriously. Dan Le Batard with Stugotz.
Yes.
Stugotz is allowed to be the court jester all over the network who puts his face in Michelle Beadle's chest because he wants to do quarterback ratings in her microphone.
And the N will not allow me to do that?
Well, Russillo can't do that. Russillo can't do that.
Right. That's a good point.
Mike Golick can't do that. I can't do it.
Right.
The only person that can do that is with Stugotz.
And Stugotz can't. This is a tough one, man.
It is. It's quite the crossroads.
I'd be interested in what the shipping container thinks. Like, I would.
Okay, since we're having this therapy session out loud now anyway on a Dolphin Monday, and this is what the Dolphins deserve, by the way, only for the rest of time. Because they don't deserve us to talk about them, because I'm going to regret this on my deathbed that I spent any time whatsoever thinking about that team.
We've said what's needed to be said this morning. They're still in the mix.
I would say forever. I would say we've said what needs to be said about this Dolphin team forever, and perhaps we should think about I don't know why today is the arbitrary date. Never discussing the Dolphins here again. And while I'm at it, Mike, I'm also going toward another place with some of this where I am trying to think what is the best, most entertaining, and most principled way that we can, while not boycotting the Marlins, boycott here, not just Marlins talk, but any baseball talk whatsoever on this program. Baseball, no matter what the issue baseball presents, it will never be discussed on this show until someone like Rob Manfred comes on here, or someone like Bruce Sherman comes on here, one of these rich and powerful people. And I think we need to beat this drum on Sherman and Manfred that, hey, beginning today, we are going to start with poisoning this relationship for you in South Florida by talking about it ad nauseum, what we're going to do. And then one day, we're going to just stop. And we're going to stop talking about baseball in every form after we, for months, have told people to not go to those games. To simply, right here, we just put pressure, more and more pressure on baseball until we finally reach a point like, okay, you guys aren't coming on with us. You won't be bullied. I get it. You're rich people. You're not used to being bullied. And I don't think either one of you are going to get bullied, Bruce Sherman or Rob Manfred. But what I'm telling you is this power that South Florida and sports have given me, this show will spend its time and its platforms alerting people that you deserve to be buried in this town and have your business go bankrupt, belly up, and you can blame it on South Florida, but it's your own fault for doing what you've done with baseball down here in South Florida and okaying a bunch of stuff that makes South Florida a brothel. You made us build with taxpayer money your brothel, and now you come here to screw, and then you leave. You screw, you take the money, and then you leave. And what I'm telling you is I want to figure out a way to do a campaign to bring pressure upon Rob Manfred and Bruce Sherman in a very public way that's funny, fun, and principled, and smokes these rich, powerful people out from their hiding. Because I am going to bang this drum here, and I want you guys to push me on it. Like, push me on it and push me on it. I want to bang this drum in a way. South Florida has given us this power. Sports has given us this power. Let's use it on something, even if it's small, like getting some damn rich people uncomfortable in a place where they have to answer for some difficult questions. I'm inspired by that. Like I want to figure out a way to do that. We've been fooling around with it on air, but like Bruce Sherman, if you want your business to succeed in this town, you can't just come here in hiding and treat it like an ATM.
Well, I mean, you can't. Technically, you can.
No, but what I'm saying, no, you can. But what I'm saying, not without a fight. Okay. You can try, and what I'm saying, like, if that's what you are here to do, one of the fights is going to be with this radio show that keeps getting more powerful, this radio show that you can make the argument on behalf of some of the metrics is the biggest sports radio show in America. Like, I want to use that power to defend this city that gave me it.
It'd be so awesome if we were getting behind the cause that other people actually cared about, though.
I know.
That's the problem.
That's one of the issues here that makes it so strident and
obnoxious.
If
you found one person that shares the same intensity you have for this.
I found one. I found my muse. I found one. I've got my muse in the backpack there.
Hello.
Holiday cash. Here's where to get it. MyBookie.ag is the place to score serious cash on your sports predictions. There are a lot of football, basketball, and hockey games. You can score big every day. Man up. Play like the pros. The money line, side, or total. MyBookie.ag is your hookup for all your betting with all the lines and super fast payouts. Join now and MyBookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code CHAMPION to activate the order. Don't leave the money on the table. MyBookie.ag, promo code CHAMPION, and your first deposit is matched to up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
Don Le Batard.
Oh, say, can you see
Stugotz.
and the Rockets red flag? Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Oh, the land of the free.
Help me think something out here on the air, Stugotz, because I don't want to talk about the Dolphins anymore, and we might be in a situation, even though it would really clip Billy's wings and his career, where we're not talking about baseball in any form around here soon as I slowly morph into Hank Goldberg.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. Let's try it. I mean, a little bit of baseball. Maybe we can pick a different team to cover.
Billy was telling me during the break, and Chris was razzing him, like, this really clips my wings if your principled take ends up with us not talking baseball anymore on the air, because that's where I really shine. And so everything has consequences, right? Every stand. I mean, Kaepernick didn't think he wouldn't be playing this year. Like, every principled stand has consequences.
Yeah, but he took that principled stand. I did not. You're taking the stand on my behalf.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, no,
That's
I'm
right.
not saying I'm not going to talk about the Marlins.
That's
You're
right.
saying that.
I'm taking the stand on your behalf, but who is the muse for that stance? You have now gotten me so fired up that I am now roaring and soaring through the skies, fueled by your rage. And I just flew right past you. I'm dragging you as I fly, and you're like, stop clipping my wings. I want to fly too.
I didn't think you'd be less rational than me, but that seems to be what's going on here.
All right, so this is what I wanted to ask you guys, because I think this stuff is stuff that people absolutely want to hear about. For example, I think people want to hear, people who love our show, not general people, but people who love our show want to hear about, like, the fights or what we've had to do to have it become with Stugotz or and Stugotz and all this stuff. And I just like the idea of having, I don't know if it's a segment or an hour before what we already do or whatever, of just like having a show meeting that's on the air, because all the same stuff and personalities and all the stuff that's in our show would infect that show meeting. So I'm talking to you guys right now. How do we figure out the way? Everything I just said on the air is something that I would tell these guys off air, which is, how do we figure out a fun, creative way to smoke out Rob Manfred and Bruce Sherman? But also, I'm trying to figure out if there's a good show within that people would want to listen to, where the producers are we're all sort of in on the idea of, okay, how are we going to do the show today? What are we going to get fired up about? What are we where are we chasing?
I've spent the last week just sort of scanning funny threats because it's hard to charter a course for a funny threat.
Right, but this is what I'm going for, right? Because I don't want I want to hold on. See, I want to be the court jester who also gets to do journalism every once in a while.
It's tough.
I think we've passed that point, man. Long past.
We're trying to pull off, we're wacky, but we'll kill you. It's not.
Yes, but that's exactly, yes. That is what I'm going for. That's exactly what I'm going for. How do we find that space?
But I've had people tell me for a week that you're not good at this. Like, you're not good at demanding and making threats. We need like a Vanden Bosch. I
am terrible at it.
Gonna kill you with a kazoo. They're fun, right?
We're gonna smoke you out. Like, it just doesn't seem right coming out of your.
But I want you and the audience. See, like, I think there is a creative space here. Like, imagine. This is the show meeting where we're just having the ideas, and we have the entire community that loves this show who can then lend ideas to us, like what Mike just did, where it's like, we're wacky, but we're going to kill you. And so people can volunteer ideas like that. And then then the whole community ends up seeing them come to life during the national show. Like how it is that they come to life, because the national show would be different from whatever this show is, which is, I don't know. I just think there's a fun, creative playground there, that people who already love our show would want, to tap into intravenously, to sort of see. It would allow them to see behind the curtain a little bit on how we do this.
We're going to smoke you out. Just please don't breathe any of the smoke in.
Yes.
We don't want anybody to actually get hurt.
Be careful. But we're
trying to find non-toxic smoke.
Yes, your hair's going to be really on fire, and here's an asbestos suit. Like, you're going to be fine when you get out of this, but your house is going to burn down.
Have someone standing by with a fire extinguisher just in case.
Like, please,
wet blankets.
No, maybe we'll do that for you. I'll be happy to supply them for you. I just want to threaten you, but I also want you to get my point, but I also want it to be funny so I don't sound like Hank Goldberg.
Have you met your deductible?
Right. Like,
the smoke is coming, but we've also slid under gas masks right under the door. Put them on quickly.
Yes, very helpful thing.
The bag may or may not inflate.
Right. And what do I look like? Am I dressed as a court jester as I do it? Because the voice is threatening, but I don't want to look threatening.
Well, you can't pull off funny
Yeah, you can't have it all.
Wait a minute. You guys, wait. Do you okay, so wait a minute. Now we've arrived at something. You believe it's impossible to pull off funny threatening?
It's hard, man. Yes.
We were put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is it impossible to pull off funny threatening?
Billy just in talking back here, we're spitballing. I think the only person that pulled off funny threatening was Stone Cold Steve Austin when he held a gun to Mr. McMahon's head and then he pulled the trigger and it said "Bang 316." And even then, that was kind of scary. And no way can you do that nowadays.
Well, I mean, I think Dan's pulling it off. It's just not. People are laughing at him. They're not laughing with him.
Well, he's talking about the Marlins. Yeah. What is your threat? You're not going to watch Marlins baseball? Welcome aboard.
Well, don't go to a game. That's never been done before. Don't go to a Marlins game.
No, wait
it's
a minute.
It's the most effective boycott because no one goes to the game.
Wait a minute.
We're not going to talk Marlins baseball.
Wait a minute.
We showed you.
We showed you, Rob. We smoked you.
Look at your attendance numbers now. But you're embarrassed.
Yes, you guys, hold on a second. You guys.
We're still last, but we're more last.
Yes, everything you're saying is funny and true. However, Derek Jeter, one of the mistakes that he made here in convincing Bruce Sherman that this was a good idea is we can rebuild their fan base with winning. We can rebuild their fan base just by here comes Derek Jeter and there's a new sheriff in town. We could get their customers. And what I'm telling you that is if this radio show has a very strong, far-reaching platform, if we poison that well before they even get to ticket-selling parts of this, like, the business can be damaged. Like that, it is not an irrelevant, it's not an irrelevant threat. Like, everything Jeter is doing is based on him being able to show Bruce Sherman a profit. The reason with a new ballpark that they couldn't succeed and they were hemorrhaging money beyond Loria being a dope is they got no one to go there with the ballpark, and they thought they would. They thought the ballpark would bring them. The amusement park would bring them. The reason that they're in debt and the reason they ran their business wrong is because customers did not pay or care enough. So the stadium was supposed to fix that. Did you guys see, what is it? Is it the movie Traffic where the general leaves 2 notes behind for his successor? And the last note is sit down and write 2 more notes because your job is done. The last saving of baseball that there was going to be in this town is that stadium. That was the thing that was going to save baseball in this town.
Right. And it hasn't.
And no, not only hasn't it, it has been the last-ditch failed effort. And so Loria got out, even though he didn't want to get out. He wants to be a baseball owner, and the rest of his life is going to be really hard, Stugotz, without the self-worth that comes from being not important anymore and people not returning your calls, and you just don't matter anymore. Like, that one's going to be for the rest of his life. He did not want to get out of baseball. He had to get out of baseball because the ballpark was such an enormous failure. So now Jeter comes in and says, no, I got it. And what I'm telling you is he has badly underestimated how little people in this market care because of how many times they've been hurt. And when I tell you that this threat is a meaningful one, it's because us not going to this ballpark with this ownership, no matter where they put the payroll, is going to end Jeter's tenure as an executive before he gets where he wants. He doesn't want to be an executive. He wants to own a damn team. He doesn't want to go to the winter meetings because he's not Mike Hill. I'm not John Elway. I'm Arison. I'm Stephen Ross. I ain't going to those meetings. I don't make trades. I make transactions. And what I'm telling you is this threat is not a small one. And I don't want to wield it with ego. I want to wield it lightly, but I want to wield it.
We were looking at their attendance numbers to see if at any point people were actually going because in the new stadium, and there was a bump, whether it be the novelty of the first having a new stadium and baseball being here.
Just that first season, you're saying.
But they didn't give you time to see if the the project would work over the course of years, because midway through that season at the deadline, they traded Hanley, and at the end of that season, they made the Blue Jays trade, which I speak for myself here. That got me done on baseball, that Blue Jays trade. That signaled.
But you guys understand the business of it, right? Because none of us really understand, because I've been doing research on this, and I've been talking to people who know vastly more than I do. The big conundrum in South Florida, wouldn't it be, well, wait a minute. If we built you a stadium, wasn't that thing going to stop you from losing money, stop you from having debt, being able to have payroll? What the Marlins were counting on is, yes, that stadium will stop that, because that stadium will be full. We've seen there are 1,000 people in that stadium on some days.
Yep.
And that's where they were losing money, because they absolutely did need ticket sales. And so Jeter thinks this thing could get buried before it even starts, because Jeter thinks that the thing that's going to get this business out is the TV contract that's coming up. And it's not, because they're not going to have any fans. Like, the TV contract isn't going to bail all these people out. ESPN's not going to come in here and overspend. Like, this power's not small.
Right.
ESPN's not going to overspend on the rights to Marlins baseball, because now ESPN owns all of sports broadcasting. They don't have to compete against anybody. They don't have to give that Dodgers deal. I'm telling you that if this ownership group doesn't get fans, this ownership group and Jeter will have the failure on the resume of, you're the only one in the history of baseball who cannot figure out, with all the money in television, how to make money in this business. He will be a colossal failure, and he's got this huge baseball safety net where no one fails owning sports team.
But the Marlins kept moving the goalposts on that. It's because people weren't showing up to the stadium. But a couple years ago, it wasn't that people weren't showing up to the stadium. It's because we weren't getting any of the concession money. We weren't getting any of the parking, because we had to rent that facility from the Miami Dolphins. And if at least we had our own facility, no matter the attendance, we'd still be getting all that revenue ourselves, as opposed to half of it going to the Dolphins. So you build them a stadium. They're supposed to be getting all this extra revenue that they said they weren't getting. The attendance really doesn't matter with the revenue sharing.
No, in that part of it, you're right.
But the television contract is what Dan's talking about. You have to bring certain facts to your potential, to that negotiation. Fans, ratings, stuff like that. And what Dan is saying is Derek Jeter won't have those things.
He badly overspent on this team with the idea of promise, and the idea he's thought, I will get the fans back, because they need that income supplement of you. They've been inflating their numbers for years. Like, this is not Major League what we have down here. It's, you go to the ballpark, sometimes the attendance is 16,000, but there are 900 people there. You can't do the business that way. But what I'm telling you is that Giancarlo Stanton didn't move attendance. The MVP of the league, hitting bombs, the most special thing in the sport.
Right.
Didn't get a fan. Jose Fernandez got 2,000 fans in real baseball markets where people haven't been betrayed. That fills your stadium with money.
Wasn't Alex Fernandez brought down here with the expectation of him bringing fans? The only thing that brings fans to Marlins Park is winning. That's it, period.
There have only been two. That's it, that's period. Jose Fernandez and Dontrelle Willis, for a brief period of time, they had attendance bumps of 1,000 and 2,000. It wasn't very much. It wasn't big attendance bumps. Those were the only times in the history of franchise that they've had attendance bumps over a player.
Oh, Dontrelle was way more than 1,000. I went to a Wednesday night baseball game against the Diamondbacks. There were 35,000 people there.
In the heart of Dontrelle mania.
To see Dontrelle against Randy Johnson.
No, hold on. You guys, hold on.
In the heart of it. Oh, Randy.
There were
hold on.
Upper deck tickets.
Hold on. That is winning. Stugotz is right when he says that winning will bring us. Winning will bring us. Dontrelle and Jose Fernandez were only worth a couple thousand more on top of whatever they would have gotten. They've got all the metrics on this than what they would have got. They could count on those starting days an average of 1,000 or 2,000 more than they wouldn't have gotten. But what I'm saying is that's not a big number. And what I'm telling you is that Stanton is responsible for next to nothing. Stanton did not increase the attendance when he was hitting all those home runs. The fan base down here is broken, dude. It's broken.
Well, I have two things. Did Stanton, maybe he didn't increase the attendance, but maybe he kept it stagnant, because maybe they could have had a lot less.
There you go. Okay,
that.
Fine.
You'll see this year, maybe.
Fine. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And secondarily, I could see a scenario where this doesn't cave in on Jeter, and they say, look, even Derek Jeter couldn't fix it. Baseball just doesn't work in Miami.
Well, but okay, and so that's why I think that it's important that this threat be made. But it's also important that I don't sound like a bleep hole gas bag while doing it, because I do want it to be in the spirit of everything else we do. Like, I don't want to be I don't want to be that over the top self-righteous.
And you're not great at it. Can we have a celebrity enforcer? Can we do that? Like, we have a number of guys. Like, make it like wrestling style. Get Ric Flair to be the guy that smokes out Rob Manfred. Something like that. Mike Tyson, maybe. Someone more intimidating.
See, that's a good idea right there. Ric Flair is a good idea. Like, somebody... Like, yeah, if we could get funny people to rip, can we get tape recordings of funny people ripping Rob Manfred and Bruce Sherman on air? But I just also think that this other idea is a good one, whereas we have show meetings like this that sort of end up, or whether the local hour becomes a show meeting, I don't know, but like stuff like this gets... Like, here's the thing, Stugotz. I don't think I've ever told you this. The original idea for Highly Questionable, and this is not what it became something else, but the original idea with Highly Questionable was just going to be me and my father sort of brainstorming with my friends on air and that becoming a show. Like, not that the filming of the show was going to be the show.
Right.
And it just became something else in the doing of it. But what I'm telling you, because ESPN has gotten us into so many places where we have so much reach and power now, that it's time to actually start growing this thing. Like, now is when it starts growing. And so the idea of a producer's meeting that is aired, or a producer's recap show, or, that stuff that Stern does, like, that's going to be on the table here soon if we want it. And I think our listeners would want it. I don't know. I'm not positive. They might not.
Oh, I think they would want it.
I'm not sure. Why don't you ask them? Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Would you guys listen to an hour show of either post, wrap up, or a show meeting before the show?
With digital and podcast, you can make that a la carte. So it's available to those who want it.
And it'd have more input from Roy. You'd get quality exclusive content from Roy. It'd be quality. Like, we're going to end this segment with the kind of quality exclusive content that you will only get from Roy. Like, this is how show meetings would end, which is, and here's 5 exclusive Roy seconds.
I got nothing for you, Dan.